Rabblings, it's your girl Leah here. And right now, my day for drop a hot mix-up. Tell me, what would you do? Rabble, straight Rabblings.
As important as everyone knows it is, the mere mention of superannuation, particularly for younger generations, used to lead to glazed eyes and stifled yawns. But we all woke up when the financial hit of coronavirus led the government to announce retirement savings of tomorrow could be used to pay the bills of today. More than 2 million of us have found salvation in our super, cashing in as much as $20,000 each. Of course, the money is desperately needed by many, but for others, it seems to be an excuse to splurge. And as desirable as designer handbags, new cars and new boobs might be right now, are they really worth giving up a comfortable old age for?
Cassandra, tell me about your neck. How long's that been bothering you for?
Probably I'd say the last 5 or 6 years.
It might seem like an odd place to start a story about superannuation.
Going through a couple of pregnancies, I've just noticed that gravity is now starting to sort of set in.
But for 41-year-old Cassandra Garcia, raiding her retirement savings meant a long-planned trip to the cosmetic surgeon.
I just didn't want a mum tum. I just was sick of all these little things. It was hard to get dressed. You have to tuck and put things away, and it's an extra 15 minutes every single day trying to pack stuff in and then unpack it all at the end of the day as well. So
I wouldn't go quite that far. A busy mum and businesswoman, Cassandra runs a small tech company that's been lucky to weather the coronavirus storm.
morning, girls.
The downturn meant she qualified for early access to her super. And like 2.5 million other Australians, she jumped right in, putting $10,000 towards the removal of the breast implants she got as a teenager and a whole body transformation.
Good girl. So I'm actually having a series of surgeries. So the first one, I guess, was the most pressing for me, was actually having my breast implants actually removed. 360 lipo actually on my torso. So we're going to actually be lipoing and doing a 360 on my legs, and just a little bit of a little tweak underneath my chin.
From a total of $138,000, the turmoil of the pandemic had already seen Cassandra's super balance take a $35,000 hit. So taking up the government's offer didn't seem like such a big deal.
When the government says, these measures are in place to help purchase or to pay off, essential items,
Sure.
Do you see your surgery as an essential item?
For me, essentially, yes. All puns intended. That money certainly helped me be able to sort of achieve some things that are making me feel a lot better about myself.
How are you feeling, Cass?
Slightly nervous, but excited. It's nice to be able to actually be here today, I guess, and get things going.
Do you know many people who are spending their super like you are?
Not specifically just on surgery, but many other, I guess, items that probably would be classed as non-essential. So things like maybe designer items, clothing.
Clothing?
Makeup from Mecca as well.
They're spending their super on clothing and makeup?
Yeah. So,
and handbags.
And handbags and very nice shoes.
Is it a short-term way of thinking?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. I guess it's one of those things we'll just have to wait and see what happens from here.
The best things in life are free.
Super has always been sacrosanct.
Money. That's what I want.
Money squirreled away throughout our working lives to pay for a happy, financially secure retirement. But as the coronavirus continues to wreak economic chaos, the government has had to think on its feet. And in those early days, allowing those in need to raid their own retirement savings seemed like a good idea.
Our economic response will allow those Australians who are in financial stress to access more of their own money in superannuation. This is the people's money, and this is the time they need it most.
But not everybody has used the scheme quite as our leaders intended. Breaking into the property market can be tough at the best of times, but no more so than right now. When the pandemic hit, Ben Devaney and Matilde Sison found themselves stuck inside their tiny apartment.
Sounds good.
With deep cuts to their wages and their dream of buying their first home in tatters.
What was that like for you when you received your first payslip after taking that pay cut?
It was like, I think I cried probably.
It kind of wiped out what we were putting away each month towards a new house.
Ben and Matilde realised they could get their hunt for a home back on track by making the most of the government's super scheme. So they made a strategic decision to pull out $10,000 each to put towards a home deposit, in the hope that ultimately it could save them some money.
It sounds like, $10,000 isn't so much, but actually long term it is significant.
Yeah, that interest grows quite a bit. But we thought that $10,000 towards a house would have the same kind of growth, and we're not kind of wasting any money on dead rent, essentially.
Are you gambling with your future?
I don't believe so, no.
No, I don't think so.
We're pretty confident we can pay it back, so there's pretty minimal risk for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a spreadsheet ready.
Sounds like you really thought it through.
It's an online form. It takes about 5 minutes to complete. You check the eligibility criteria, tick a box. There's no requirement to provide any evidence or documentation up front, and then up to $10,000 arrives in your bank account within 5 days.
And suddenly superannuation is sexy. You
Yes.
get $10,000 in the bank.
Suddenly you've got $10,000 in the bank.
Economist Andrew Charlton is director of consulting firm Alpha Beta, which has been crunching the numbers on how people are spending their withdrawals. He believes the simplicity of the scheme and the lack of checks and balances has simply invited trouble.
Some people, no doubt, took the money out and made very sensible financial decisions with that money. Other people took out the money because they were experiencing real hardship. But I think there are a group of people who have taken out the money in order to boost their spending, in order to purchase some luxuries and other items.
What were they spending it on?
2/3 of that money was being spent on things like clothing, electronics, homewares, automotive, things that support people's lifestyles but aren't necessarily the necessities like food bills, etc.
Even more gobsmacking is that many of those who dipped into their retirement fund don't appear to have needed the money at all.
Our research shows that this policy has not worked entirely as it was designed. It was designed to help people through significant periods of hardship, and our evidence suggests that nearly half of the people who accessed superannuation early had experienced no drop in their income after accounting for additional government benefits that they receive.
Ultimately, it is their money, though. Shouldn't they spend it how they choose?
No question. But maybe at the expense of their well-being at the other end of their life in retirement.
Coming up, Ashley, new wheels, how exciting.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with it.
Super cash today.
This is your money and this is the way you want to spend it.
It is.
Super headache tomorrow.
How much could people lose?
Up to 5 to 10 times the amount that they are taking out today.
But don't worry,
I don't regret it.
be happy.
This is fantastic.
That's next on 60 Minutes. Cosmetic surgeon Dr. Daniel Lanza has seen a bump in his business.
What I'm doing now is I'm just marking your jawline.
He says Cassandra Garcia is one of many patients he's seen who've cashed in their super to pay for cosmetic surgery.
And if you just lie down like that. Did they give you your injection yet?
Not yet.
No.
We're not forgetting that.
It's perhaps a little surprise he sees it as a shrewd investment.
Everything's a balance. So they're saying, you know what, I want to use that money now to feel better about myself now, and I'll have less money later on. That's their choice.
It's not really what superannuation was designed for, is it?
The government made a decision that the Australian people can have their superannuation now, not to retire. They wanted to have their superannuation now so they could spend it. Now, are we going to tell them what to spend it on or not? So I think it's a good decision. I'm very proud of the Australian government.
Is there a risk that the early access scheme has turned superannuation into an ATM?
No, there is no risk that superannuation will become an ATM.
Senator, it's been a pretty challenging time, hasn't it?
When you think about where we were 6 months ago, the economy was in pretty good shape.
For Assistant Minister for Superannuation, Jane Hume, extraordinary times have called for extraordinary measures. And there's nothing wrong with giving needy Australians the ability to pay their bills, even if it costs them at their retirement.
It is a big deal whether they take money out. It's a big deal, that trade-off. Do they leave it in superannuation and build that nest egg over time, or do they take that money out now? But that's their decision. They understand that trade-off. And for many people, the benefit of taking that money out now outweighs the benefit of leaving it in the future.
Really? Does it?
Yeah, it may well for many people. The government isn't in the business, though, of telling people how to spend their own money.
So should they be using it on things like cosmetic surgery?
We would be disappointed to find out that they were, but again, again, this is not necessarily taxpayer money. Overwhelmingly, it is their own savings that they're spending. It's not in the spirit of the scheme, but if they meet the criteria for early access, it's up to them. The vast majority of people have used this money as an economic lifeline.
Hey Robblins, it's your girl Leah here. And right now, I'm there for drop a hot mix-up. Tell me, what would you do? Robble, straight Robblins.